He's a best-selling author, Donald Trump's vice president, and stems from supposed hillbilly royalty. That's right, today we're looking at the life, campaigns, and most importantly, the medals of prominent US politician J.D. Vance. Born in 1984 in Ohio, Vance, like so many of his generation after 9/11, joined the armed forces. He enlisted in the US Marine Corps in 2003 and served for 4 years. He specialized in public affairs and conducted a tour of duty in Iraq as a combat correspondent. During his service, his surname was Hamill, but for the sake of simplicity, we shall refer to JD throughout the course of this video as Vance. In this video, we will first look at his timeline in Iraq, what the US Marines were up to in theatre, and then go into his medals. James David Vance deployed to Iraq in August 2005 to Al-Assad Air Base in Anbar province, western Iraq. Vance served as a combat correspondent with the 2nd Marine Aircraft Wing, part of the 2nd Marine Expeditionary Force. In this role, he reported on military operations within the Marines' area of responsibility. He also engaged with the media and disseminated information on Marine activities. It was a demanding role that required strong communication skills. In 2005, Al-Assad was a strategically important airbase for US forces during Operation Iraqi Freedom. The base covered more than 15 square miles and was one of the largest US military installations in Iraq, with thousands of service personnel, contractors, and local national workers conducting activity on the base. This airbase played a crucial role in supporting both aerial and ground operations during combat search and rescue, medevac, and ISAR operations. Al-Assad was also known for its harsh desert environment, with frequent sandstorms known as haboobs sweeping through the area. In addition to receiving cultural awareness briefs, Vance, like many new arrivals deploying to theatre, would have likely have heard terrifying tales about giant 8-inch camel spiders that could outrun a man and had deadly bites. I've only ever seen one about an inch large, and out of everyone I knew, no one had witnessed these giant creatures. To me, they seem about as elusive as Bigfoot. Has anyone seen one of these large ones in the desert? Maybe you can tell me in the comments. Or maybe it's just a case of chaps exaggerating their sizes. Although Al-Assad was referred to at the time by some soldiers and Marines as Camp Cupcake, it is important to remember that there were no front lines during the Iraq conflict. Personnel operating within bases were frequently attacked with indirect mortar and rocket fire. During Vance's tour, Al-Assad was repeatedly targeted with IDF originating from adjacent urban areas such as al-Baghdadi. It's likely that Vance and his colleagues' operational work would have been disrupted by these attacks on several occasions, with them having to take cover in hard-standing or special shelters. The Marine Expeditionary Force area of operations stretched from the Syrian border area through the western Euphrates River Valley to the insurgent hotbeds of Fallujah and Ramadi near the western approaches to Baghdad. Connected by highways known as MSRs or main supply routes, Marines were based in camps throughout the province. Anbar was a major part of the Sunni Triangle and became known to the troops as the Wild West. The Sunni Triangle became a focal point of armed opposition to the Coalition Provisional Authority after the 2003 invasion. This area, roughly triangular in shape, includes cities like Fallujah, Ramadi and Samarra. The region was predominantly inhabited by Sunni Muslims, many of whom had historic ties of loyalty to Saddam Hussein, whose hometown and tribal base of support was in nearby Tikrit in Saladin province. The mosaic of complex tribal dynamics within Anbar further exacerbated the situation, leading to significant resistance both against the Iraqi government and to coalition forces. The Sunni Triangle was an area of prominent support for the former Ba'athist regime, and many former politicians, soldiers and government workers came from this region. Many of them saw themselves as disenfranchised from the new Iraqi national government. After the invasion, Iraqi military veterans of the prior regime in Anbar, now lacking a means of employment and subsistence, as well as being humiliated following the army's defeat, joined the insurgency or offered out their technical skills or training to anyone willing to pay them. During the occupation, insurgent groups such as the Naqshbandi Army, or JRTN, Al-Qaim in Iraq, and various Ba'athist or extremist groups would come into prominence in this region. These groups were involved in a range of activities, including launching attacks on coalition forces and Iraqi security forces, as well as local civilians, and efforts to destabilise the region in general. The Anbari town of Fallujah, in the year before Vance's deployment, had witnessed two bloody engagements, known as the First and Second Battles for Fallujah. The Second Battle of Fallujah, occurring in November and December 2004, was some of the bloodiest urban combat the US Marines had faced since Vietnam. Approximately 100 service personnel were killed and 500 wounded during the battle. In addition, 4 British soldiers from the Black Watch were killed and 10 more wounded supporting the operation. Numerous Iraqi security forces ended up as casualties. During Vance's deployment in 05-06, the objectives of the Marines focused on disrupting insurgent operations by denying sanctuary and freedom of movement to the enemy, continuing to train up Iraqi security forces, and building partnerships with the local communities. One of the key areas of concern was the border town of Al-Qaim and its surrounding locality. Technical equipment, money, supplies, and foreign fighters would be smuggled by insurgents across the border into Iraq. These assets would then be disseminated along the Euphrates River Valley, ending up to be used in Baghdad or further afield, targeting Iraqi civilians and military personnel. For the Marines, it was essential to clear Al-Qaim and its surrounding environment of enemy activity. During his tour, Vance reportedly left Al-Assad Air Base periodically to document Marine operations in Al-Qaim and other high-risk areas of Anbar. During this, he would have taken the same risks as any other coalition forces going outside the wire. In Al-Qaim, from October 2005, the Marines embarked on Operation Iron Fist, and later, after its success, Operation Steel Curtain. Both operations were aimed to clear urban areas of the locality of insurgent forces and restore governmental control. Of his service in Iraq, Vance stated, "Generally, I take photos or write short stories about individual Marines or their work." It's highly likely Vance and his colleagues were reporting on these two operations, interviewing Marines involved in the battle and travelling to the relevant sites. Iron Fist involved a westward advance through Sadr and eastern Karbala. Troops from 3rd Battalion, 6th Marines, established battle positions with names such as Iwo Jima and Kaysan. Rifle companies methodically moved through the settlements in the locality, clearing the battle space of insurgents. This urban fighting would be defined by small arms firefights and sniper duels. Houses would be booby-trapped and US patrols and convoys ambushed in the narrow streets. It was a slow grind, but this operation eventually resulted in over 50 insurgents killed and 2 urban centres cleared of enemy fighters. A few weeks later, Operation Steel Curtain, building on that success, was much larger in scope. In fact, Steel Curtain was the largest Marine Corps operation since the Second Battle of Fallujah. The operation even involved 2 US Army units, a squadron from the 14th Cavalry and a battalion of parachute infantry from the 82nd Airborne. Like earlier in Fallujah, Marines utilised loudspeakers to warn Iraqi citizens to leave the locality before the impending assault. In order to confuse the insurgents, US forces, for this operation, launched their assault from west to east into western Karbala and Husainba. Fighting occurred also further east than Ubaidi. This involved the paratroopers as well as Marines. Fighting door to door, the Marines and Army slowly yet successfully cleared the urban area. Operation Steel Curtain came to a conclusion on the 22nd of November 2005. Some 200 insurgents were killed in action over the course of the clearing operations. Establishing further battle positions within the major population districts was touted as the key to longer-term success, with US forces forging working partnerships with the Iraqi military and establishing a more granular level security footprint in the area. These 2 offensives in Al-Qaim were part of a broader strategic level Operation Hunter, designed to deny Al-Qaeda in Iraq the ability to operate in the Euphrates River Valley and establish a permanent security presence for US and Iraqi government forces along the Syrian border. In total, for Operation Iron Fist and Operation Steel Curtain, approximately 2,500 Marines, soldiers and sailors took part in these operations. Air support for the ground troops was critical. During Operation Iron Fist, over 18,000 pounds of ordnance were dropped during airstrikes. Iraqi security forces also played a critical role in the battle for Al-Qaim, serving as translators and providing intelligence and extra support for security operations. Logistics convoys supplied troops in Al-Qaim with crucial supplies from Al-Assad base, where Vance was stationed. These convoys would run the gauntlet of roadside bombs, with helicopters from 2nd Marine Aircraft Wing providing overwatch and reconnaissance for the vehicles. Combat logistics teams would work 18-hour days to maintain continuous supplies to the Marines, often making multiple supply runs on one day. Convoys could take up to 9 hours to reach Al-Qaim, crossing roads often littered with pressure-plated activated mines and other IEDs. Operated by remote control or command wire, IEDs were placed in culverts under roads, hidden in trash or rubbish alongside a road, or even buried and covered on the asphalt itself. In addition, insurgents targeted coalition vehicles with grenades such as RKG-3s by dropping them from bridges or overpasses onto the vehicles in urban areas. Even more deadly were VBIDs, or vehicle-borne improvised explosive devices. These were cars, bongo trucks or motorcycles laden with explosives. These would be parked next to the road and detonated or even driven into convoys, as well as the entrance to coalition bases. Soldiers conducting top cover on convoys would sometimes have a split second to decide whether the vehicle approaching their convoy was a threat or not. Vance, along with fellow Marines and soldiers, ran this gauntlet whenever they left their bases on a mission. Vance's time in Iraq as a military journalist and Marine shaped his perspective on life, service and leadership. It reportedly installed in him a deep sense of duty and an understanding of the sacrifices made by service members and their families. Finishing his tour in early 2006, Vance would have been entitled to Medal Number 1, the Iraq Campaign Medal. The obverse features a relief of the map of Iraq orientated to the north, with 2 lines representing the Tigris and Euphrates rivers superimposed over a palm wreath. Above the map, the inscription reads, Iraq Campaign. The reverse side of the medal depicts a Statue of Freedom surmounting a sunburst encircled by 2 scimitars pointing downwards with the blades crossing at the tips. Below this, the inscription reads, For Service in Iraq. The ribbon is scarlet, white, green, desert grey and black. These colours symbolise the different aspects of the campaign and the regions involved. Serving after 9/11, during the period of the global war on terrorism, Vance was also awarded Medal Number 2, the National Defence Service Medal. Right, here we go. This medal is awarded to any member of the US Armed Forces who served during any designated periods of national emergency or armed conflict, from the Korean War, Vietnam, Gulf War, and up until the global war on terrorism from 2001. However, its issuance was ended in December 2022. Made of bronze, the obverse shows an eagle perched on a sword and palm with the words National Defence above. The reverse shows a shield of the US coat of arms as well as oak and laurel leaves. The ribbon has a yellow centre stripe flanked by narrow stripes of red, white, blue, white and red. In previous videos, this medal, more than any other medal I've done, gets the most comments from veterans. So I'll read you a few of them. In Vietnam, we called this the Alive in 65 medal. This is given on completion of training. I got this after graduation from boot camp. We called it the Gadunk Medal during Vietnam. My dad called it the Commissary Medal. And finally, the Congratulations, You Didn't Seriously Mess Up Medal. Vance stated, I left for Iraq in 2005, a young idealist committed to spreading democracy and liberalism to the backward nations of the world. I returned in 2006, sceptical of the war and the ideology that underpinned it. Medal number 3, the Global War on Terrorism Medal. As of the time of this video being produced, this medal doesn't appear on Vance's Wikipedia bio for some reason. However, a source quoting a spokesperson for the US Marine Corps Manpower and Reserve Affairs Office states that Vance was entitled to this medal, as well as a Sea Service deployment ribbon. The medal was created to recognise service members who supported operations to counter terrorism. This was issued for participants of Operation Iraqi Freedom. Made of bronze, the obverse is an eagle with spread wings. On the eagle's breast is a shield. In its claws, the eagle holds an olive branch and 3 arrows. The eagle is surmounted by a globe with the above inscription, War on Terrorism Service. The reverse is a laurel wreath. The ribbon consists of multiple stripes of Old Glory blue, golden yellow, scarlet and white. For not being a naughty boy during his service, Vance also earned Medal number 4, the Marine Good Conduct Medal. The Good Conduct Medal is one of the oldest military awards of the United States Armed Forces. The US Navy's variant of the Good Conduct Medal was established in 1869, the Marine Corps' version in 1896. It is awarded on a selective basis to enlisted members in the regular Marine Corps or Marine Corps Reserve to recognise good behaviour and faithful service. 3 years of good conduct are required to get awarded the medal. The obverse depicts a Marine gunner serving a naval gun encircled by a rope and the words United States Marine Corps. The whole scene rests upon a fouled or foul anchor. Below is a scroll with the US motto Semper Fidelis, always faithful. The reverse has a blank space for engraving the recipient's name. Around the inside of the rim are the words fidelity, obedience and zeal. The ribbon is maroon or soldier red with a single stripe of dark blue in the centre. Promoted to corporal during his service and spending much of his US time based in North Carolina, Vance was trusted with jobs normally given to Marines of a higher rank. For his work as a combat correspondent and carrying out tasks to a high degree of professionalism during his career, he earned his final medal, the Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal. This medal is meant to recognise outstanding achievement or meritorious service for more junior service members in a non-combat role. Each branch of service issues its own version of this medal. The medal is bronze and the obverse features an anchor in the centre surrounded by 4 stars. The reverse is plain. The ribbon is green with 2 orange stripes. So in summary, for J.D.Vance, we have the Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal, the Marine Good Conduct Medal, the National Defence Service Medal, the Iraq Campaign Medal, and finally the Global War on Terrorism Service Medal. Vance reportedly stated that he was lucky to escape any real fighting. However, that shouldn't denigrate his service, which was likely very similar to so many other troops serving in Iraq at the time. As he said, he was lucky. Like many veterans of the global war on terrorism, Vance's experiences shaped his view of the world. I hope that by exploring his time in Iraq and his medal awards, I can shed some light on the experiences and sacrifices of not just his fellow Marines, but all service personnel from various nations that served in Iraq during that time. I hope you found some value from this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.